Hello everyone, welcome to the second lesson for Python for Beginners. This lesson covers syntax, variables, and operators. We will look at definition of syntax, indentation, comments, variables, and operators. Let's look at syntax. Syntax is simply a set of rules that defines the structure and formats for which we write valid code. So with example, we have print into brackets and single quotes hello world. So this piece of code is used to display hello world in the console. So it means the style or the rules that we use to construct this piece of code without getting error means that we are following Python syntax. Indentation refers to the spaces that we introduce at the beginning of a line of code. It signals Python where blocks of code, for example, for if, for, while, and functions, which we'll come to later, where they begin and where they end. Anytime you write these types of code and we fail to introduce an indentation, Python raises an indentation error. We can make an indentation by using the tab or space. It is important for you to master any of them for consistency. Let's look at this example. We have the if statement, which we'll come to later. So we have if age is greater than 18, and then we have the colon, and then the block of code which is under the if statement, print you can vote. For that block of code, we have to introduce indent to signal Python that we are creating an if statement. If you are creating if statement and you miss an indent, Python will raise an error showing that you have to make a complete if statement by introducing an indentation for the block of code, which is print you can vote. Comments are parts of code or program which are ignored by the interpreter. So for comments, we have two types, a single line comment and multi-line comment. You can create single line comments by using the hash and then followed by the content. For multi-line comments, we are going to open the comments with triple double quotes or triple single quotes and close the comments with a triple double quotes or triple single quotes. Another advantage of comments is that they can be used to temporarily disable code in our programs. So over here, we have a single line comment, the hash, and this is a single line comment. For our multi-line comments, we've opened the comments with triple double quotes and we are saying this is a multi-line comment. Comments allows you to temporarily disable code that you don't want to run without deleting it. So we are going to close this comment with another triple double quote. Let's look at the print function. The print function is one of the most important functions that we use in Python. So print is simply used to display information to the console. For example, we have print into brackets good day. This displays the text good day in the console. For the second one, we have print into brackets 18. So the 18 here is a number. So it means we want to display the number 18 inside the console. Let's look at variables. A variable is a named reference to a value stored in memory. In simple terms, variables are containers which we use to store data to our memory. Variables are created when a value is assigned to a name using an assignment operator. So the assignment operator here is the equal sign. So with the example, we are creating a variable called message. So the message here is the container in our system memory. So we are going to store this text hello world inside the message variable. So we have message equals hello world. Now let's look at some variable naming rules. For the first part, a variable must start with a letter or an underscore. A variable cannot start with a number. Also, variables should only contain letters, numbers, and underscore, and nothing else. Variables are case sensitive, which means that if you create a variable called age in lowercase, and then you create another variable which the A is uppercase, they are entirely different. Also, you cannot use reserved keywords for variables. So let's move on to reserved keywords. In Python, there are a set of particular keywords that are used for specific programming functions. So we are not allowed to use them anytime we are creating variable. That is, using them as variable names or identifiers. We have the list here. We can see force, await, import, pass, and others. In this example, we are looking at comments, variables, and the print function. So with the first part, we've created a single line comment which says this program prints a welcome message, and we are using the print function. So we have print into brackets welcome to Python. For the next part, we are using a multi-line string. We open a string with a triple double quotes and it's having this program calculates the area of a rectangle using length and width. For the next set of code, we've created a variable called length and assigned it to 10. We've also created another variable width and assigned it to 5. The next variable, which is area, has been assigned to length times width. And then we are going to print the value of area. For the last set of code, we have variables. We've created a variable called student underscore name and assigned it to Alice. So here we are using alphabets and underscore. The second part, we have car1 assigned to Toyota and the next one, car2 assigned to Honda. So let's run this code and see the results. From the results, we can see welcome to Python, which is coming from line 2. Print welcome to Python. And the value 50, which is coming from print area. So we've multiplied 10 by 5, which gives us 50. Let's look at operators. An operator is a symbol or keyword used to perform operations on variables and values. So operators simply allows us to manipulate data, allows us to perform calculation and also compare values. It also allows us to control logical flow, which we'll come to later. We have different types of operators: arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logical operators, and membership operators. So let's take a look at each of them. Arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical operations. So let's look at each of them. We have addition, which is the plus sign, subtraction, which is the minus sign, multiplication. So in here, we are using the asterisk for multiplication. We have the single forward slash for division. We have double slash for floor division. The floor division simply gives a value of how much one number can divide another number, excluding the remainder value. We have the percentage for modulus or the remainder. The modulus simply gives a remainder value after a number is divided by another number. We have two asterisks, which is used for exponentiation or indices. For the example, we have two variables, a, which we've assigned to 10, and b, which we've assigned to 3. We are going to print values for all the arithmetic operations. So we have print a plus b, we have print a minus b, we have print a times b, we have the division parts, we have modulus parts, we have the exponent parts, and we also have the floor division part. Let's run this code and see the results. From the console, the first part, which is 13, is coming from print a plus b, which is the addition. The 7 is coming from subtraction. 30 is coming from multiplication. 3.333 is coming from division. Now, let's move on to modulus. With the modulus part, 3 can divide 10 3 times, leaving you with 1. So, we are going to use the 1 as the modulus. The next value, which is 1000, is coming from the exponent. 10 exponent 3 gives you 1000. For the last part, which is the floor division, we have value 3. This is because 3 can divide 10 3 times. Assignment operators assign values to variables. We looked at the basic assignment, which was the equal sign. So anytime you created a variable, we have to use the equal to assignment operator. For the basic assignment, we mostly use it in creating variables. So we have value equals 5. Now let's look at compound assignments. A compound assignment operator is created by using an arithmetic operator and the equal sign. So with the first part, we have plus equals. So this is one type of a compound assignment operator. So for an example, we have x plus equal to 3. This is also equivalent to x is equal to x plus 3. So we have the example and their equivalents listed for the rest of the compound assignment operators. Let's look at an example to understand them better. In this example, we've created a variable called num1 and we've assigned it to 10. Let's go to the first set of compound assignment operators. So on line 5, we have num1 plus equals 3. So this is the same as num1 equal to num1 plus 3. And then we are going to display the value of num1. On line 8, we have num1 minus equals 2. And we are going to display the value. Same for line 11 and line 14. So let's move on to the second set of the compound assignment operators. So on line 23, we are using the modulus assignment operator. So we have num2 and the percentage sign equal to 2. So this is the same as num2 is equal to num2 modulus 2. then we are going to display the value. Then we are doing the same for the floor division and for the exponentiation. So let's run this code and see the results. I have 11, which is coming from line 9. That is the minus assignment operator. We have 44, which is coming from line 12. We also have 14.66 and so on, which is coming from line 15. For the next set, we have 1, which is coming from line 24. That is the modulus assignment operator. And we have 22, which is coming from line 27. That's for the floor division assignment operator. And we have 125, which is coming from line 30. That is the exponentiation assignment operator. Comparison operators compare two values and return a boolean. That is true or false. We have the equal to as a comparison operator, which is using double equal sign. So this is used to compare whether two operands are having the same value. Then we have the not equal to, which is using the exclamation and equal to. We have greater than, we have less than, we have greater than or equal to, and then we have the less than or equal to. Let's look at the example to understand better. In this example, we've created two variables. We have A, which is assigned to 10, B, which is assigned to 5. And for the comparison operators on line 6, we have print into brackets A equals B. So this is going to check whether A is having the same value as B and return true or false. On line 7, we have not equal to operator. This is the opposite of the first one, which is the equal to. So anytime you have A exclamation equal to B, when we check both operands and they have the same value, it's going to return true original, but this operator is going to flip it and we are going to get false. Same for the other side. When we check both operands and they are not having the same value, the original result is supposed to be false, but this operator is going to flip it and we are going to get true. So let's run this code and see what happens. For the results, we have false as the first part. So this is coming from line 6. So this means that A and B are not having the same value. That's why we are having false. The next one is true. This is coming from line 7. We compared A and B. And since both variables were not having the same value, the original result was supposed to be false. But then this operator flips it and then we are getting true. So the next part is true. That is coming from line 8. A is greater than B. So we are having true. The next part we have false, which is coming from line 9. 10 is not less than 5. So we are having false. The next part we have true, which is coming from line 10. A is greater than or equal to B. So 10 is greater than 5. And for the last part, we have false. So this is coming from line 11. 10 is not less than or equal to 5. The logical operators are simply used to combine and compare conditional statements. Let's look at each of the logical operators. The AND simply compares two separate conditional statements and returns true only if both conditions are true. We also have the OR operator. It returns true if at least one of the conditions is true, and the rest will return false. For the last part, we have NOT, which reverses the results of either AND or OR. If the condition is true initially, the NOT flips it to false. And if the condition is false initially, the NOT flips it to true. Let's look at some of the examples to understand better. In this example, we are looking at the different logical operators. So for the first part, we have the AND. We've created two variables, age and has license. We've assigned 25 to age and true to license. On line 7, we have print into brackets age is equal to 18 and has license. So we have two separate conditions, which is age greater than 18 and then the second condition, which is has license. The AND is going to check both conditions. If both condition returns true, then we are going to get a value of true. For the next part, we have the OR. We are using the same variables, but this time we've assigned false to has license. On line 13, we have print into brackets age is greater than 18 or has license. So here, the OR is going to check both conditions, and if either of the condition is true, it's going to display true. For the last part, we have NOT. We've created a variable called s_logged_in and we've assigned it to false. On line 18, we have print into brackets NOT is logged in. The NOT is simply going to flip the results of is logged in. So let's run this code and see the results. For the first part, we have true, which is coming from line 7. The second part, we have true, which is coming from line 13. The last part is also true, which is coming from line 18. Let's look at membership operators. Membership operators are basically used to test whether a value exists in a sequence. So let's look at these operators. We have in, which returns true if a value exists in a sequence. We have not in, which returns true if a value does not exist in a sequence. That's the same for the opposite side. So with the in, it returns false if a value does not exist in a sequence, and for the not in, returns false if a value exists in a sequence. So let's look at an example to understand better. In this example, we've created a variable called fruit and we've assigned it to a list. So with a list, we have apple, banana, and orange. On line 6, we have print apple in fruit. So we are checking whether apple is inside the fruit list. For the next part, we have not in. So we've created a variable called numbers and we've assigned it to a list. So with the list, we have 10, 20, 30, 40. On line 11, we have print 50 not in numbers. So we are checking whether 50 is not in numbers. Let's run this code and see the results. From the console, we have true as the first part. This is coming from line 6. So this confirms that apple is indeed part of the list. For the second part, we have true, which confirms that 50 is not part of the numbers list.